One of the most important tasks that you all have to perform is the sign-in sheet. Now, for those of you that have been around for a while and been here before, you know we passed around a paper sign-in sheet and you all scribbled something that appeared to be your signature, and we passed around a paper. Well, we have gone into the 21st century. I have in my currently nicotine-stained hands 2 iPads, one for each side of the room. Stop it. One for each side of the room. Yeah. You'll see there's a list. Very important. Get your finger under control. Search. Hit the search button. Type in the first initials of your first or last name, and your name should pop up on the screen. Hit your name. It'll pop up, sign here. Sign. Please try to sign so it's legible, because the state of Texas doesn't have a sense of humor if you need CE credit. So your signature should look approximately like your name. And then hit save and pass it along. Pretty simple, eh? Pretty simple, eh? You sound like I'm from Canada, eh? My wife's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, eh? Okay, you got it? Now, if you get stuck, put your hand up and Britta will come assist you in making sure that it works properly. But just do that and pass it along so it gets through the entire room within the hour. One for your side. One for your side. Remember, search. Your name should pop. Your first 3 initials. Pop it up. Hit the button. Sign your name. Pass it along. I've noticed I said, please ask Britta, because I'm a technical moron when it comes to these things, so I don't know how to do this. All I know is how to give the instructions. I have a hard enough time with this thing. When I went to the store to get a new one, the salesperson said, well, let me show you all the things that it can do and all the apps. And I said, stop. Make calls, receive calls, send and receive text messages. Stop. Yeah, but look at all, stop. These things are a blessing and a curse, and I hate them, except when I need it for a call. All those other things don't matter to me. Okay. Next topic. Universal life. History lesson. For those of you that can remember back this far, and I can see some of you who do, myself included, what was going on in the economy in the late 70s and the early 80s? Crazy interest rates. Major recession. What? Inflation. Anybody remember gas lines? I remember sitting on First Street in Santa Ana, California, in front of the Chevron station in my Volkswagen, waiting to buy gas because my license plate ended in an even number, and it was an even number day, so I could buy 10 gallons of gas. Interest rates. I sold a house. We sold a house because I had somebody a real estate agent come to me with an offer from somebody who wanted to pay me a stupid amount of money to buy my house. And I said, if you're stupid enough to pay this amount of money, you can have it. Now, what's the problem? I had to go buy a new one. But made my wife at that time very happy because we bought a brand new house. Now, when we bought the brand new house, the mortgage, the first trust deed mortgage on that loan was 13.5%. That was the interest rate that we had to pay on our first trust deed mortgage on that new house. And that was a good deal. 13.5%. There was inflation. There was price problems. It was a mess. And everyone was looking for ways to to get in on the game, to invest money in some of these high interest rate marketplace investments, and looking for cash anywhere they could find it to invest. And where were there significant amounts of cash that people had to get their hands on? Permanent life insurance policies. And there was this marketing organization called A.L. Williams. You recall, I recall, some of us remember this outfit. It became Primerica. Travelers finally bought them. It's significantly different than it was originally, but at the time, A.L. Williams was a marketing organization that went out and talked and marketed this phraseology. You should cash surrender your whole life policies because it's a bad investment. You should buy term and invest the difference. Come see us. And in my humble opinion, the life insurance industry did a wonderful job of shooting themselves in the foot. Life insurance, the idea that life insurance is a bad investment, the correct answer to that is, you're right. It's not supposed to be an investment. It's a whole life policy. You want to invest, go to the stock market. You want to invest, go buy mutual funds. You want to invest, go buy real estate. Whole life insurance does have an ultimate benefit, but in a pure sense of the word, whole life insurance is a bad investment. You know what, Mr. Williams? You're right. However, your answer ain't always the best one. Because I mentioned it earlier. When you give the general public the idea of buy term and invest the difference, what do? They buy term and stop. It's human nature. Some people do it, most of them don't. So the deal was, when all of this cash was suddenly being sucked out of life insurance companies, cash surrendering whole life policies, what do you think their reaction was? OMG. We're getting raped of all the cash that we've got in our policies, and you people are surrendering them. What are you doing? We better come up with an answer. Like Parquet. Dun, da, da, da. Universal life insurance. The general public screamed, we don't like this fixed premium business. You have handcuffed me with fixed premium my whole life insurance. You have handcuffed me with a face amount that I cannot change in a whole life policy. And you have given me no flexibility in my cash value because all you're going to give me is what's guaranteed. I want more flexibility. Whether or not they believed that, they believed it after hearing organizations like A.L. Williams telling them, you're getting screwed. So they came up with universal life. It is a flexible premium. That answers the first issue. Adjustable death benefit. Wow. Introduced in the early 70s because of high interest rates on money market accounts and aggressive sales by competing financial services and other non-insurance financial products, I just described, forced life insurance companies to become somewhat competitive regarding financial returns. My disclaimer. I am personally a fan of whole life insurance. That's nothing against universal life. Universal life has its place for many people. I'm just not a big fan. But that's okay. You don't have to be a big fan. It's whichever one you prefer, or whichever one the consumer prefers is the one I'm going to offer and suggest that that's what they buy. My job is to simply describe the options. You pick. It's kind of like we report, you decide. You've heard that phrase before. It's already been used. Universal Life has a contract that can function just like term or whole life. Now that might sound a little foreign. You might go, wait, stop. Since it's a flexible premium product with an adjustable death benefit and a flexible cash value, it depends upon what kinds you buy. There are different types, such as guaranteed or fixed. All universal life policies that I have seen have a floor of guaranteed interest that they're going to pay you on the cash value. Most of the ones I have seen currently have a 2 or a 3% return on the interest on your cash value. Now, in today's marketplace, that's pretty good. Where can you go and invest any money and get 2% return? Even 2. Guaranteed. There are some policies that have an indexed component to the interest accumulation on the universal life policy. And the indexed universal life policy interest rate is a very complicated calculation that companies can use depending upon which one they pick and choose. Now those words I just said mean absolutely nothing. What did he just say? It's a very complicated calculation it sounds sort of like this. We have a guaranteed amount that we will pay you, but because it's indexed, and if it's indexed off the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the Dow Jones gives back, I'm going to pick very arbitrary numbers. If the Dow Jones over the course of a year shows a 12% return, we're going to give you 9. We're going to keep 3. Well, that's not a bad deal in today's world. I'll gladly give up 3% if I can get 9. That's sort of that's a brief, very vague description of what indexed is all about. We're not going to drill down any deeper than that. And the other one is variable. Variable, anytime you hear the word variable, what does that mean? It's based on investment equities like mutual funds. And there are no guarantees. So if the whole thing blows up and it falls flat on its nose, you're out. That's for the serious high-risk investor, those kinds of policies. And if you look over here, I believe it's if you're looking on page 20, you'll see that the least guarantee, but the least risk is guaranteed or fixed UL. And as you go up the ladder, it gets more, some guarantees and higher risk. That's just sort of a visual picture of what it looks like. Let's get into the more details. The advantages of UL, based upon the way it was built, because the public told the insurance industry, this is what we want. We want contract flexibility. Remember the words I used for whole life? Fixed premium, fixed face amount, fixed guaranteed cash value. Universal life, it is flexible premium, flexible death benefit, flexible cash value. Does that sound like something that has a little more risk to it? Yeah. Does that sound like something that might have a little better return on my quote-unquote investment? Yes. It's all a matter of personal preference. I already told you that my bent is towards whole life insurance. I like making life insurance life insurance. If you want to guarantee your premiums will never change, you want to guarantee the cash value, and you want to guarantee a death benefit, I'm willing to handcuff you to that contract. And if you're willing to be handcuffed to it, that's good. If that's a problem for you, then universal life is your answer. Obviously, the insured can assist in the design of the plan because every universal life policy that I ever sold when I was actively in production, I brought my laptop computer to the interview and I said, we're going to build a policy based upon what you tell me you want to see. So there is a significant amount of assistance from the insured's perspective. The disadvantages, non-guaranteed mortality charges and low guaranteed interest rate. Now, this is a technical term because inside of universal life policies is the mortality charge. What is that? It's the pure cost of the insurance. You see, when we sell a universal life policy, and you're going to see it in a couple of pages, which hopefully by that time it'll make a little more sense. It's a flexible premium, flexible death benefit, flexible cash value, and all the components of the policy are open for the consumer to see. I'm going to stop there. I want you to just grab onto that concept until such time as we get a couple more pages, and then hopefully that will make sense to you. Are we good there? Okay. There's one additional aspect of universal life on page 20 that you should know, and it has to do with the flexibility in a universal life policy that does not exist in whole life. It's at the bottom of page 20. It's called option A versus option B. Remember I made the statement that one of the disadvantages, we have described it as a disadvantage, where we said the cash value is not paid in addition to the face amount when the insured dies. Remember that? Remember I said the face amount is the face amount is the face amount. If it's a $100,000 policy and there's $30,000 in cash value and the insured dies, the beneficiary is going to get $100,000. And they may say, well, where's the 30? It's part of the 100. Well, in universal life, because it's flexible, you can make it look like whole life, which is option A, which includes the cash value within the death benefit. You got a universal life policy that's been enforced for 20 years. It's got $30,000 in cash value and has a $100,000 death benefit, and the insured dies, the beneficiary is going to get $100,000. That's option A in a universal life policy. On the other hand, because of its flexibility, the insured can, when they buy the initial policy, this has to be decided when they initially buy it. You can take option B. Option B says, at death, the insurance company will pay to the beneficiary the death benefit plus whatever cash value is in there. Now, let me ask you this. Which one do you think costs more money? Option B. If you want option B, you got to pay for it. Because the beneficiary at death is going to get both. At death, the beneficiary is going to get both. That's part of the flexibility. Exactly. With option B, you're buying more life insurance. Simple as that, which is why it costs more. There's no such thing as a free lunch, especially in CIC classes. The other thing about option A versus option B, because of the way it's structured, is The cash value grows faster than in option A than in option B. Why? Because you're not buying as much insurance. Option B, you're buying more insurance. Now, don't think about how the insurance company got to that point. Just go with the concept. It's kind of like, I don't need to know how you fixed my car. Just tell me, does it run? Here's the picture that I wanted you to see. I like pictures. I like pictures. The 6 components of a universal life policy. Remember what I talked about? The buying public wanted more flexibility, and with more flexibility comes more information. You want more information? We'll give it to you. Now, I'll make a statement. You already heard me say there's nothing wrong with universal life in the right circumstance. I have a personal preference to whole life insurance. But when it comes to universal life, there are some downsides. I'm going to describe one to you in a minute, that I put under the category of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. The 6 components of a universal life policy are this. The first one is the premium payment. You want to buy something, you got to pay. And we can adjust this dollar amount to fit your budget, as long as you meet the minimum. There's a minimum that you have to pay to get this policy in force, and then you can go up from that. I'll give you an example in a minute. So the premium goes into the policy. The first 2 things that we have to take out of it, we, the insurance company, take out of it are what's called mortality expenses. It's the pure cost of the term policy. Pure cost of the term insurance for the amount that you bought for 1 year. Does that make? We've made, at this point, this is a term policy. We have calculated that you want, I'm going to use the example, $100,000 policy, you want a $100,000 universal life policy. And we know that the minimum that you can put in is enough to pay for the mortality charge and the policy expenses. The mortality charge is the pure cost of the insurance for 1 year, and the policy expenses are the amount of money that the company's got to have to pay their expenses to put this policy in force. Companies, they're in this for business. So the premium that has to go in initially has to at least equal that and that. Now, if that's all I did the first year, what have I bought? What have I bought? Bought term insurance. It's a universal life policy. Yeah, but it looks just like a term policy. Gee, imagine that. The nice part about it is if I do that, I can make it into a whole life looking policy without having to change the policy like I did when I bought a term policy. I had to convert it to whole life. I can make this look like whole life in year 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Because if I put in more money than these 2 things, what's left over, I put into the cash value, into the bucket. I put it into the company puts the extra that I put in, they took out here, whatever's left over goes into the bucket. And depending upon which policy I bought, guaranteed, indexed, or variable, whatever interest rate is being paid goes into my cash value. And when I die, there's a death benefit. Pardon me? If you have chosen option B, you get the face amount plus what's in the bucket. If you chose option A, all you get is the face amount. Because the cash value is part of the face amount. Now, let me stop right there. This is what the 6 components of a universal life policy are. And the consumer basically said, I want to see everything. Okay, well then you can see everything. Because if you want to see everything, You can look over to page 25 and 26. We're going to go back in just a second, but I want to move forward. You want to see what it looks like? Every year we're going to send you a statement. Now let me caution you about this particular document here. These numbers, we made them up. So it's not real. So don't look at these and go, how much money are we paying? Stop. This is to simply show you that one of them is an option A and the other one is an option B, and an annual statement goes to the policyholder, the owner, the insured, and says, here's what happened on your policy last year. Here's how much you paid us. Here's how much we took out for mortality charges and policy expenses. We put the rest into cash value. Here's the interest that we paid to you, and here's your death benefit for the year. Now let me stop right there. Does this, first of all, do any of you have a universal life policy? A couple of you. And you every year you get a statement, don't you? And you do what most people do. You look at it for about 3 seconds and drop it into the file. If it went up, I'm happy. And if it went down, I don't want to know about it, throw it away. That's what most people do. I know this. Do you get this? Do you understand that there are 6 components that comprise a universal life policy that the consumer said they want to see, and we see it in that statement? The flexibility is this. Premiums can be skipped. If I've got it on a monthly pay plan, and I've put in enough, I've had it for 2 or 3 years, I've put in more than the mortality charge and the policy expenses, because if I only put in the mortality charge and the policy expenses, do I have any cash? No. Oh, by the way, if I only put in an amount every year for insurance policy, mortality charges and policy expenses, and it's next year, am I a year older? Is the rate going to go up? Yes, it is. There's no guarantees of mortality charges. There's a minimum guarantee, and there's a maximum that we can charge, but it will change on an annual basis. But what happens is if I put in enough in year 1 to pay the mortality charge and the policy expenses, and then in year 2, I increase that to $100 a month over the mortality charge and the policy expenses, have I got money going into the cash value? Yeah. And next year, I have a bad quarter in my sales job. Years ago, we used to market this significantly to real estate agents because they have high fluctuations of income as a rule. So we would market this to real estate agents and say, look, do you believe that you need life insurance? Yes, I do. Okay, then how about we give you a flexible policy that when you have a good quarter, you can load it up, and if you have a bad quarter, you can stop. And you can, if you've got enough cash in there, you can stop making premium payments and let it pay for itself. The flexibility also includes the face amount. If you have a whole life policy, can you change the face amount? Do this. No, you can't. It is a fixed contract. Universal life has a flexibility. So if 3 years in you say, not only do I need to change the premium, but I need to lower the face amount because I don't need that much life insurance anymore. And all you got to do is call the company and say, lower it. Okay. Now, if you want to go up, I need more life insurance. Okay, well, you're probably going to have to pay more money, and you're going to have to qualify. You have to prove that you're healthy enough to get more insurance. But at least you have the option. You don't have the option in whole life. You can lengthen or shorten the protection period, increase or decrease the premium payments, lengthen or shorten the premium payment period. This is all just, these are just words in my mind. Understand that the flexibility of a universal life policy gives the insured person a multitude of options. The last one is contribute or withdraw lump sums of money and have either partial surrenders or loans. Let me back up to whole life for just 1 second. If I've had that whole life policy in force, remember my example where we had the non-forfeiture business? At a $100,000 policy that I had for 20 years and there was $19,400 in cash value. Remember that? Remember that? And I have an investment opportunity that I need $5,000 for, and I don't have the cash, but I look and I go, wait a minute. I got $19,400 in cash value in my life insurance policy. If I call the company and say, I need a loan of $5,000, will they send it to me? Immediately. It's your money. Now it's a loan. It's a loan that they're going to charge interest, but generally speaking, the interest on cash value life insurance loans is pretty low. Number one, you don't have to qualify for it. Like you go to the bank, the first thing they want to know is, when are you going to pay it back? Can you qualify for this loan? And here's the interest we're going to pay. And the payments start next month. Well, in cash value life insurance, when you say you want a loan, send me the money. I'm going to give you a personal example. Years ago, 1999, as I recall, I had just returned from one of the nice things about working for some insurance companies is doesn't happen so much anymore. There used to be contests where we got trips. Remember those good old days? New York State Insurance Commissioner took care of that. Well, I had just returned. I was living in Colorado at the time. I had just returned from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on a company trip. 4-day, 5-day trip down to Puerto Vallarta. Great time. Come back. I go, I'm back a few days. I need a haircut. I go to my barber who cuts my hair and he says, where have you, this is in the middle of winter. Where have you been that you're all tanned? I just came back from Puerto Vallarta. Well, it's nice to be you. Did you like it? Yes, I did. Would you like to go back to Mexico? I think so. Why do you ask? He says, because I have a timeshare in Mazatlan. Remember I mentioned Mazatlan before? Where my ashes are going to get sprinkled on the first tee box. I have a timeshare in Mazatlan that I don't want anymore. I've had it for a few years. By the way, I'm closing the barber shop in 3 months, and I'm moving to Hawaii. Barbering must be good for you. And if I'm going to live in Hawaii, I don't need a timeshare in Mexico. He says, why don't you take my week this coming December and see if you like it, and when you come back, we'll talk. My wife and I go, we go to his timeshare, it's a nice place. I come back, I said, you know what, I like it. He says, would you like to buy it? I don't know, how much do you want for it? He says, would you give me $2,000 for it? Yeah, because I think he paid $17 for it. And he'd had it for 5 years maybe, I don't know. I don't know, you have to be a certain type of person who wants to, invest in a timeshare, but for $2,000, that was a 20-year, it was going to last for 20 years, why not? Which is why we've been going to that same place for 20 years. The point is, at that very moment in time, I didn't have $2,000 in cash, but I had a whole life insurance policy that had a busload of cash in it, so I just called up MetLife and said, I need $2,000, will you send me a check? It was there in 3 days. I took it to the bank, I sent him a check for $2,000, he gave me the title, done. It's your money. By the way, I've never paid it back. It's building up interest, but the cash value is accumulating higher than the interest that's being on the loan. I didn't have to qualify for the loan. I don't have to pay it back. I should have, but I'm not going to. It's just the cash value is taking care of it. It's growing faster than the loan is. There's a lot of living benefits with permanent life insurance. Thank you for that. You're stealing my thunder, but that was the next thing. Now, the deal is, at death, my beneficiary is going to get the face amount minus the loan, because I already got the money. So what? Okay, they were supposed to get 100, now they're going to get 92. Do they care? No. What's that? I don't care, I'm dead. And they're still getting 92 grand. And using some of the money to fly to Mazatlan for, never mind. So here's a summary of the universal life versus the whole life picture. It's on page 24? 24, thank you. In universal life, the face amount can vary. It has a flexible premium and a flexible mortality cost. It has a minimum guaranteed rate of interest plus an additional rate tied to some form. Here's where my caution is usually useful. If one is going to buy a universal life policy with a fixed dollar amount that hinges on the company's declared interest rate, the insurance company's declared interest rate, you might want to figure out which company you want to buy it from, because once you buy it from them, you're stuck with them. Your investment in universal life interest rates is going to be a function of their profitability. So you might want to look at the history of their investment portfolio. My personal opinion is the big folks, Met, Pru, Mass Mutual, New York Life. There's many, many other companies. Now, if it's Shifting Sands Mutual of Yuma, I might want to say, Or if it's Crawdad Life, like in the book, I think I want to go to the big guys. That's just a personal sidebar opinion. In universal life, you can either choose option A or option B. When? When you buy it. And you can take a loan or a partial surrender. Now, I already just talked about loans, didn't I? Same thing in universal life. If you take a loan, they'll take it out of the face amount if you die while that loan is still outstanding. And they're going to charge you interest. But the face amount doesn't change. In other words, if you pay the loan back 3 years from now, your face amount goes back up to what it originally was. There's another option in universal life. You can take a partial surrender. So if I have a $100,000 UL with $10,000 in cash value, and I want a loan of $5,000, and I don't care, and I don't ever want to pay it back, but I don't want any interest to accumulate necessarily, and I don't care about losing a little bit of face amount, I can take a $5,000 partial surrender, and my universal life policy from 100 now goes down to 95, because I took 5,000 out of the cash, and I took 5,000 out of the face amount. It's just an internal logistic. Don't get all weird about it. Don't make a big deal about it. But it is an option to take a partial surrender. You can't do that in whole life. A loan is a loan is a loan. And of course, I think we've pretty much beat this horse to death, haven't we? Fixed, guaranteed, not paid in addition, and loans only, interest is charged. Whew. Now there is, I want to go back a page or two, because I want to show you in an illustration of in fact, the flexibility of the policy, what we have called the Bill Carter story. This gets a little bit in the weeds, but it's very illustrative of what can happen. Take a look. On the left-hand column, it says, at age 31, Bill purchases a $150,000 UL with annual payments are $1,600. Look at the cash value in the first year. There is none. He pays $1,600 in year 2, in year 3, and year 4, and he's getting some cash value. He's getting some guaranteed cash value because there is a guarantee in this policy, and he's also getting a little bit more interest because the company has a declared interest rate above the guaranteed minimum. But the face amount hasn't changed, has it? That means he must have bought option A, correct? At age 34, Bill takes a new job and loses his group life insurance. Now, that alone is an issue that you should consider personally. I don't know how many times I have heard from prospective customers, oh, I've got plenty of life insurance. Oh, really? Tell me about it. Oh, I got $150,000 of life insurance through my company. Oh, that's your group life insurance? Uh-huh. And what happens when you leave the company? It goes away. Group life is a wonderful benefit, but it's only worthwhile when you work there. Huh? Most group life insurance is not portable. There are some payroll deduction life insurance policies that you can buy through your employer that are in fact portable. But that's a different issue. Right now we're talking about standard group life insurance that the company provides for all of their employees on a non-discriminatory basis. That's only good when you work there. So here we go. Bill takes a new job and loses his group life insurance. He increases the face amount on the universal life policy to $250. Why? Because he wants the whole $250 because he lost $100,000 of his group benefit. And he doesn't increase the premium payments. At age 43, he receives a bonus and he puts $7,000 into his universal life plan. Now, Mr. Carter is an admirable individual that he would do that, because I can almost guarantee you nobody else would. I got a $7,000 bonus. I think I'll put it in my life insurance policy. Human nature tells me that's not likely to happen. But here we go. At age 44, he increased his contribution to $2,400. Now this is going to be perfectly legitimate. He's moving along between 51 and 54. He withdraws $5,000 each year. Look at age 50. He's putting in $200 a month. He's got $48,000 in guaranteed. He's got $74,000 in cash value because of the interest that is being paid on the policy over and above the minimum guaranteed. Now, we should add up. I don't know how much he's paid over the 20 years, but I can almost guarantee you that if you added up all those premium payments over 20 years, they're not going to come anywhere near $74,000. He's already making a profit. And he doesn't have to declare it because it's all tax deferred. Between 51 and 54, he starts taking out $5,000. He stops making premium payments and takes out $5,000 a year to pay for his kid to go to college. Where is $5,000 a year going to send a kid to college? It's an example. He's going to a junior college where he's living at home. Just like my friend up in Seattle in Tacoma whose kid got kicked out of Washington. He's now living at home going to a junior college. That's what we call them in California. It was community college, I believe, is more politically correct. Is there enough money in the policy to do that? Yeah, obviously. College is over at age 55. Resumes contributions, increasing them to $3,500. You get the idea? That's the beauty of a UL policy. That's the beauty of a universal life policy. Has all of these flexible options.
Hey, real quick, in the 32nd year, so why does the death benefit start increasing? See, he decreases it to $200,000, and it's remained level because evidently there's some options. And then all of a sudden it starts increasing.
There is a built-in provision in life insurance policies that the federal government has a tax law. It's called a modified endowment contract. And this is in the woods and it's deep. Just go with me. This is sidebar. It's important, but it's still a sidebar for our purposes here. For you exam takers, don't listen to listen, but don't take it to heart. The law says if the cash value in a life insurance policy gets too close to the face amount, it could be considered an investment and not life insurance. Therefore, if the cash value gets too close, we're going to increase the face amount to make it a real life insurance policy and not an investment. Now, that's a real Cliff Notes version. Now, if it's whole life insurance, it's automatically exempted because that's called endowment. But that's also a sidebar. But it will start going up once it gets too close. That's the short answer to the question. And it goes on and on and on. You can see what all transpires. The point is, it's very flexible and it fits a very pertinent circumstance depending on one's individual circumstance. That is not for everybody. I've already shared with you my personal bent. It really isn't necessary. It's not worth it. But your client, now let's check. Your client would like to have a permanent insurance program but are concerned about the additional expenses the family will incur while their children are in college in the next 10 years. Explain how the flexibility of UL would allow for coverage to remain while premiums could be adjusted during years with higher family expenses. I'm going to give you the answer right now, unlike on the exam. Overfunding the policy early as much as possible will allow excess cash value to be utilized later, keeping the policy in force during years of higher family expenses. You can overfund it, you can stop making payments. After that period of time, the family can return to increased premiums and return the coverage to replicate whole life insurance. What we want for you to wrap your head around is the flexibility of a universal life policy versus the fixed issues of whole life. And what you have to ask yourself is, which one fits me better? Am I willing to handcuff myself to whole life insurance and commit to that every month? That's my preference. It's what I do. My wife has a UL, I have whole life. There's one other little quick item here for us to talk about before we break for lunch. Perfect. Group life. We already talked about that just a minute ago. If you work for an employer that provides you with employee benefits, health insurance and other benefits, many times they'll provide group life insurance. They'll also provide group long-term disability insurance. If you don't know if you have that and if you don't know what the benefit is, please excuse me, shame on you. Or worse yet, shame on your HR people for not telling you what your benefit is. And if you don't know, I would encourage you to go ask them straight away, what is my group life benefit and how much long-term disability do I have if I become disabled and get hurt and sick and can't work? Find out. Because in group life insurance, there's basic term and there's supplemental, sometimes, term. The basic term is employer-paid benefit, can give employees a sense of added security as well as engagement with the company. And the supplemental can be by providing coverage above and beyond the basic term. This optional employee-paid solution offers additional peace of mind. Sometimes that is, sometimes that is portable, and sometimes, I think my batteries are going dead. Sometimes that supplemental stuff is portable, and sometimes it is not. But I will share with you a quick story of an employee of ours who could not qualify for individual life insurance because of several health conditions. We changed benefit carriers, and the new benefit carrier offered group health insurance, group life insurance, and individual supplemental life insurance on a payroll deduction basis. Anybody who wanted it could buy it. And it was guaranteed issue. And he couldn't qualify for life insurance, individual life insurance. And his response was, sign me up. How much can I buy? How much? 100,000? I'll take it. He didn't even care what the premium was. And it was cheap because he couldn't get it otherwise. And guess what happened? 6 months later, he was dead. And his daughter got the benefit. If you're ever offered this stuff, particularly if somebody says, guaranteed issue, sign me up. There's a flat schedule and an earning schedule, and you can see in your book it looks something like this. Everybody gets $10,000, or if it's Plan 2, it's based upon salary, or if it's Plan 3, it's based upon occupation. That's enough information about that, you know. All you want to know is, do you have it, and how much is the benefit? What's the death benefit? Have we filled you up with enough information this morning? Is anybody drinking the Kool-Aid yet? I have. For some of you who are not familiar, this is a watch. Some of you use this device here to do everything for you. This is an old-fashioned watch. It tells me what, well, it doesn't tell me anything. I have to read it. It's 12:15. We'll see you back here at 1:15. Excuse me, 1:14 and 59 seconds.